SAPS has got the best men and women who can take on the Zama Zamas. They must just go and take out the Zama Zamas under those holes. Any Zama Zama that tries to shoot SAPS, they must drop them dead. They must not negotiate with them.
And then there was a question of whether we're going to send help underground to the Zama Zamas. South Africans. You want us to send help to criminals? You want us to send help to criminals, honestly? We're not sending help to criminals. We're going to smoke them out. They will come out. We're not sending help to criminals. Criminals are not to be helped. Criminals are to be persecuted.
Operation Valamkoti that was designed to make sure that they starve them. All of us, we know, even the minister, the deputy minister, the minister in the office of the president said it, that they are going to smoke them out, and we feel they did that. Congratulations.
And actually, assuming that they're going to be smoked out is actually a continuation of the atrocities that are being done by the government through the police and the military. If you'll remember, just a couple of months back, we had a similar situation in Daggafontein Springs, where the police and the soldiers practically, poured fuel, in a swamp, where these Zama Zamas had run away from the police to try and find sanctuary. And 7 people died, from that particular incident.
We'll cover the entire region. Some of the reparations are the monies that the mines have not paid to Mozambicans, to Lesotho, and to everyone. And those are sitting here in South Africa by Old Mutual and all the other insurance companies. And when they have to be, these monies have to be taken back, they say they belong to an individual and we don't know who those individuals are. I mean, how stupid can we reason?
SAPS has got the best men and women who can take on the Zama Zamas. They must just go and take out the Zama Zamas under those holes. Any Zama Zama that tries to shoot SAPS, they must drop them dead. They must not negotiate with them.
And politically incorrect. We've been talking about it for quite some time now. The plight of our African people deep down in the trenches, and I've provided lots of perspective from the criminal element to humanitarian needs to what is actually happening, the allegations, the But of course, now we are speaking at a time where an alleged mastermind, someone that you and I can tell this person is not a mastermind. They call him Tiger. They arrested him and they say he escaped. Whether they want to let him go and pew him, or whether they want to let him go so he can go with the information, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. But what matters now is, we've been talking about it, that the most unfortunate thing, criminals or not, it's African people who are subjected to this. I spoke to Pali Lehohla. He's one of those who's concerned about this. Well, I see on social media they say he's concerned because ke Mosotho. Zwelinzima Vavi is concerned because ke Moxhosa. You'd understand that that belt, that northwest belt, lots of miners, Lesotho and people from Xhosa, and I'm not saying we don't have Zimbabweans and Mozambicans. I'm just saying in those, especially in a bit formal mining, they are there. so in Twitter they're saying that's because, and they're starting to raise allegations of their links and beneficiaries of this thing, of which is unfortunate. But what I just want to say is, listen to what Pali Lehohla is saying. It's very difficult for me to show you who is Andries Tatane, and I'm not sure if I should show you the footage of Andries Tatane, because Pali Lehohla keeps quoting him as one of those who was lost because of the carelessness of our government for demanding something important. And you know those people who collapsed in a building, whose bodies, whose lives they were lost because the building collapsed because they were cheap labor. And even now, that thing has died down. About 10 companies, white companies, were involved in all of that. But look, Machine politically correct. I don't want to speak much. I want you to listen to Tate Lehohla and others, and what others have compiled. Thank you very much.
Of making this a talk show. And the situation in Stilfontein, the Basotho and the Mozambicans and the people from the Transkei, because of the work the mines all their time, under colonialism, under apartheid, now in modern times, and of course that's been their life. So to imagine that they are doing something strange when they come and look for livelihoods here, which has been their pattern of life, and the House of Africa is underdeveloped, the region, what is happening is a consequence of that. The problem is we have not addressed those who caused these problems. We haven't addressed issues of reparations. And if we have to look at reparations, these reparations will cover the entire region. Some of the reparations are the monies that the mines have not paid to Mozambicans, to Basotho, and to everyone. And those are sitting here in South Africa by Old Mutual and all the other insurance companies. And when they have to be, these monies have to be taken back, they say they belong to any individual and we don't know who those individuals are. I mean, how stupid can we reason? If you are looking at things in a developmental approach, I used to work at the labor statistics in Lesotho. We had a record of every Mosotho that came to the mines. And we knew from which village they came. Now, if these monies belong to those areas, and the Afrikaners knew where those people came from, the relatives are still there, but I think we have to think differently around whether it's relatives or not. It's monies that can be invested in Lesotho, invested in Mozambique, rather than be labeled as monies that do not have an owner.
Who is making use of those monies?
It is these guys that are sitting there, the ones who are management, those who are called management.
The interest incurred from it sitting in their bank, who benefits from it?
The money accrues, it increases, yes. It increases over time. But the management, these insurance managers eat that money because they charge management fees. And if we were thinking through all these things, we wouldn't say go and smoke them out. We would know that their monies are here. And we have to say, how do we deploy these monies in the region, in Lesotho, in Mozambique, so that people actually are treated fairly?
In my podcast, I spoke about artisanal miners deliberately being called Zama Zamas, deliberately being called thugs, foreigners, and low life who deserve to be smoked out. But we forget those people are Africans like us, and they are denied livelihoods to deliberately force them to work themselves as Zama Zamas, as they are called. Would we ever, and I've given up on Commission of Inquiries, would we ever get to the roots of following the money, finding out who are these people who are in these transactions until it enriches someone, because they are definitely not the what do they call them? masterminds.
The kingpins are there. They probably are known because if you do lifestyle audits, you will know them. And these guys are just mice. Mice. I mean, they are small lizards. The crocodiles are sitting there, and we are chasing these people, dehumanizing them. Some of them, child labor, forced labor, getting the people in there. It's everything about everything that says you don't have an intelligence system that deals with these kinds of situations. I mean, Lesotho Free State was stolen by the British and the Afrikaners. That's Lesotho. And we South Africans have inherited that unfairness. And we are not talking about it. We are not looking at.
What do you read into how the state has dealt with this particular matter? From the time that Operation Valumkoti started in August to that cabinet pronouncement that was made by the minister in the presidency that we will smoke them out, a decision later on that the police minister then took to say, actually, we are going to get involved in this particular operation. But now we're standing with a situation where you have close to 100 people who have died and extracted from the mine in just a couple of days.
Well, I think Madiba must be tossing in his grave that a new South Africa has this substantive tragedy on its doorstep. We've seen many other tragedies, like the people who died of cholera in Hammanskraal. We have seen children in Inyobeni dying in a nightclub. We have seen trucks ending lives of children in Pongola, heading to Walvis Bay, not Walvis Bay, but Richards Bay to deposit coal at the height of a pandemic. So that there are people who died in the mines bear similarities to all these other tragedies. So the fact that they are foreign or come from outside the country should not delude us from the general edifice of South Africa of less care for human lives. So they are a cog in a wheel of continuous tragedies that the constitutional democracy is failing to attend to. Komape dying in a cesspool, in a pit latrine, and the government having to be forced to atone to faults, Tatani being killed for asking that there must be service provision. So all these things cannot be taken out of that context of a constitutional democracy that is showing signs of being callous. So when the minister said we'll smoke them out, it suggests to us that there is a posture of the constitutional democracy, at least in name, leaving not the principles of that constitutional democracy. Now coming to your question specifically, certainly people coming out of the mines emaciated and dying at the hands of the government, and not, I mean, this should have been managed differently, particularly in the context of the history of mining industry that we know. Particularly in the context of specific rules and laws that say the mines, when they come to the end of their lives, they have to be treated in a particular way, and funds have to be made available for that to happen. Instead, these mines have not been treated that way. So the question is, who actually bears, therefore, the cardinal sin? Abandoning the mines as they are, dangerous to anybody, including in Johannesburg, acid water in the mines and so on. All those things show who the cardinal sin, where the cardinal sin sits. It sits in government. So this tragic, actually tragic, very, very tragic given the participation of people from Lesotho, Mozambique, and the Eastern Cape Transkei in these mines for almost 3 to 3 centuries, or there are 2 centuries, shows that their lives are worthless, and they've been worthless ever since then to now.
They're worthless ever since now, until now. The argument that some people bring to the fore, and I'll bring Dr. Sibanda into this just after your answer to this, Dr. Lehohla, is that on one end, the state has responsibility to ensure that there is safety and security and enforcing the laws of the country. The argument from some people is that these were already individuals that were breaking the law, some of them undocumented nationals that have come into the country and continue to break the law by going underground, unlawfully so. What else is it that was expected of the police to do and not continue with its operation to try and make sure that they deal with illegal mining in the country? Your response to that, and then we'll get Dr. Sibanda's take on it.
Well, there are laws and there are laws. When conditions of hunger and starvation ravage the countries that have participated and built this economy, the matter of law is there, but the matter of justice is there too. Weighing the two, certainly justice comes heavier.